TSA workers in Atlanta got some help during the partial federal shutdown that's been affecting them. Former DeKalb County CEO and candidate for governor Michael Thurman led a food distribution event in Hapeville. Organizers say the impact is real and many families are struggling with basics like groceries, gas and rent, some even facing eviction. The Trump administration says TSA workers should start to get a paycheck as soon as tomorrow, despite Congress not agreeing on how to fund the Department of Homeland Security. President Trump signed an executive action Friday ordering TSA workers be paid using, quote, funds that have a reasonable and logical nexus to TSA operations. The U.S. House of Representatives passed its own bill to fully fund DHS after rejecting the Senate's bipartisan compromise to fund all of DHS except for ICE and Border Patrol. One of Georgia's U.S. senators, Democrat John Ossoff, was in Metro Atlanta yesterday and said the solution to the partial shutdown is for the House to pass the Senate's bill now.
Democrats and Republicans in the Senate passing a bill to pay TSA, and the House's refusal to pass this legislation is, I think, a selfish and destructive act.
The reason that we can't accept this ridiculousness, okay, is because we're not going to risk not funding the agencies that keep the American people safe. The Department of Homeland Security is the third largest department in the federal government. It has 10 agencies beneath it. It's not just TSA, it's also FEMA, the Coast Guard, all these agencies that keep us safe.
Lawmakers are on recess now for Easter and Passover, but Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says the House's bill is dead on arrival in the Senate. Democrats do not want to fully fund DHS without changes to immigration enforcement policies, something Republicans say will not happen.